Hello and welcome to Sideways. This week we're talking about how the quality of our relationships is the most reliable predictor of a long, happy and healthy existence. Martin has been investigating the dating habits of flamingoes, and we reminisce about our experience of taking holiday jobs in factories, although fortunately never ending up falling into a massive vat of chocolate like the hapless souls we hear about in the episode. Brené Brown and her excellent TED Talk on the subject of shame come up in conversation, as does the misery of trying to don very tight football socks. The importance of connection.
Yeah, good morning to you. I think we just dodged another bullet there, didn't we? We started without recording.
Yeah, fortunately I remember just in time.
Did you?
Yeah. No, I actually had completely forgotten, and we would have got all the way through it without recording it.
And that wouldn't have been fun, would it? We've done it before, and it hasn't been great, has it?
I'd have probably said a swear word.
Yeah, you probably would have done this, and which wouldn't be good on the Sabbath, would it?
No, it's not really good any day, is it?
Not really. It's not clever.
No.
Yeah.
Although the choice use of swear words, if it's used with thought, it can be quite effective. But when it's used willy-nilly...
Yeah, exactly. It has to have context.
Do you ever watch SAS Who Dares Wins?
I don't know. Is it good?
Do you know of it?
I do, yeah.
Right, so for those of you listening that don't, it's a reality TV program where members of the public are put through a series of SAS selection tasks. And the guys on there who obviously are ex-SAS, every other word is fuck.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, I think I did watch a celebrity version of it.
That's right.
One occasion.
Celebrity ones, yeah. They can't stop swearing, those boys.
They can't. It's become so ingrained into their everyday vernacular.
Exactly.
That they can't move away from it, can they?
No, and it diminishes the effectiveness of it. Although I wouldn't tell them that if I was standing in front of them.
So, excuse me, sir. You're starting to lack impact. The way you're talking.
Yeah, I think something else might assume some impact at that point.
It probably would, yeah.
I've never seen them resort to physical violence, but I'm sure they would if pushed.
They would do. But I've with that celebrity one I watched, there was the people that were involved in it, there was a real bond between them always. There was a real connection between them, I felt.
Nice.
Which is what I wanted to talk to you today about, or for us to talk to our listeners about, really, about the importance of connection. I think we wanted to do some more podcasts on basic stuff, didn't we, that someone entering recovery should be aware of. And this is the first one, I thought, because we've sort of touched on it in the past, but I thought it was quite a good idea that you came up with that, perhaps it stopped us losing our way a little bit.
Well, I just thought it'd be useful because, I don't know, I expect we've gathered quite a few new listeners. Well, we have over the years. And those of our listeners who haven't done a Ronnie and haven't gone back to the beginning and listened to it. So some people might benefit from us going back to our roots and talking about what we kind of started this for in the first place, which was to help people in their early stages of recovery and to sustain it.
Exactly that. And there's a quote that's often used is the opposite of addiction is not abstinence, it's connection. I guess used a lot. I use it a lot in groups, especially when people are first coming along.
Do you use it more than the fertile void?
Yes, I do. Yes, the fertile void. I haven't really used that for a little while now. It's become too cliched.
That's because people were taking the piss out of you, weren't they?
They were taking the piss after a while, yeah. Let's not go there. That shattered my self-esteem. But anyway, this is what I wanted to look at this week, really. What I wanted to chat with you about is why connection is so important. But generally, as well as in recovery, because I think it's a basic human need. But before we start, there's just a couple of points here. And the first one was just relevant to this week's topic, actually, which is why I've thrown it in. I was reading about I was reading this study that shows that flamingos form friendship groups based on their personalities.
Really?
Yes.
Flamingos?
Flamingos do. And I thought, that's strange. I did perhaps. I thought they all look the same. They all stand on one leg in the middle of a sort of a pond. I didn't realise they'd all have different personalities. I suppose they do, don't just like cats and dogs and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, I'm wondering how researchers found that out.
That's what I wondered. Look,
I suppose you'd have to interview a lot of flamingos.
You see all the moody ones hanging about together, bringing each other down with their negativity.
I wonder if you were able to kind of look at the personality span of flamingos, how broad it would be.
I don't know.
I wonder if there are moody flamingos. I mean, it's a good name for a band.
Moody flamingos. Yeah. There probably is one. I had to look it up. If not, we'll start one.
Very good.
Another one of the bands we're going to start with, just because we like the name.
Exactly. What sort of music would that be?
Moody Flamingo. It's going to be a little bit indie, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Although I must admit now I've said Moody Flamingos, I can't get the Moody Blues out of my head. Which is never a good thing, is it?
No, it isn't. But it just reminded me also, when I was looking at that little study on flamingos, it reminded me of a phrase my mum always used to say to me about, if she thought I was hanging out with some wrong uns, she used to say, birds of a feather flock together. You're going to be associated with that. So that was a connection which had negative impact, really. Because she always used to say to me, followed that up with, you show me your friends and I'll show you your future, which I thought was quite prophetic at the time. I mean, my nan was just in the background quoting something from the book of Ephesians or something. Keep me on the straight and narrow. So I was getting lots of advice.
I was just wondering there which side of those comments from your mum I ended up on. I wonder if she was worried about you knocking around with me.
With you, probably, yeah. You're going to end up like Graham.
She was probably looking at me and thinking, crikey, if that's an indication of Martin's future.
Yeah, God help him.
I'm not feeling too clever.
What have I done? Yeah, so that was quite good. But anyway, there was another headline that I quite liked that I saw, which was factory fined after staff hurt in chocolate accident, which I thought was quite good. And it's quite serious, really, because apparently a couple of employees in this factory fell into a vat of chocolate.
How'd you do that?
Obviously, it was health and safety issues. They were probably leant over a little bit bosh, and they went. But for two of them to go at the same time, I think some sort of platform they were on sort of collapsed or something, and in they went. They survived. They got them out.
They might have been trying to reenact a scene from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where Augustus Gloop, doesn't he fall into some chocolate?
I think he probably does, yeah. But it's come back to bite them there. But I suppose if you're a chocolate lover, it's a great way to go. But they did.
I don't know. Would that be a great way to go?
Well, drowning in chocolate, probably not. No.
I always think drowning would be a pretty miserable way to go.
I know. Well, you remember? I think you and I both worked in a factory during the summer. So I was over at Goldwell.
Yeah,
in East Malling, which bottled alcoholic drinks, which is where my problem started, probably. But there was always accidents there of people putting staples through their hands and losing fingers and that sort of thing. That's part of factory life.
I suppose it is. Yeah, country manor,
snowball, bottled snowball. That was always.
There was a guy, wasn't there? There's a guy who worked at Goldwell's who, I'm sure you told me this story. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but his job was just to turn the crates of empty bottles of Snowball onto the kind of washing conveyor belt. Yeah, that's all he did all day. And he left, didn't he, to become a school caretaker, and he was back within a fortnight because he couldn't take the pressure.
That's right, yeah. He just we used to take over from him in the summer holidays. So we would have turns on the back of the bottle washer, which was the most mind-numbing job you could ever wish to have.
It was. I can remember having a go myself. It was literally, if you were put on the broom for a day, it was like you'd won the lottery.
That was the joy, wasn't it? Yeah, because you could actually walk around the factory. You could talk to people and stuff rather than sitting in the hum and the noise of the factory and just putting bottles in the washer. Yeah,
and that's kind of smell of stale alcohol.
Yeah. True. So that chap, Barry, his name was.
Barry, that's it. Yeah. It always looked as if he was wearing a waistcoat, but it was actually sweat.
It was, yeah. Terrifying chap. Anyway, should we get back to connection?
Yeah, go on.
I was looking at where it all sort of started from in our ancestral past. I mean, exile used to lead to death, effectively. So it became a very important aspect of our lives, and we're a social species, and it's we're wired to connect.
We are.
And today you get social alienation is a major source of stress, isn't it? We live. I think we've talked about this before, but we live in a society that's becoming increasingly disconnected, or badly connected. via social media.
Yeah, we it's an illusion of connection, isn't it? We think we're connected with people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people probably have many more connections these days, but they tend to be a lot shallower.
They are. I mean, we're quite, I suppose it's using tech rather than social media, but, we've got a WhatsApp group that the Aspire to Be people use, and that's been very successful. One or two wrinkles, obviously, where it's been abused, but generally speaking, it's been a great way of keeping people connected.
But don't you think the group WhatsApp is helpful because it isn't replacing human connection? It's enhancing it, isn't it?
It's an addendum. It is, yeah. It's an add-on.
You're using some big words this morning.
I am, right. Yeah, I'm in that sort of mood.
You've had vernacular and addendum so far. Are you going for a hat trick? Because neither of those words have been used in any episode previously.
Probably not. No, I'm getting back to some Latin roots. I'm connecting with my Latin roots. Anyway, I think again during the pandemic, I think we saw how damaging a disconnect can be, and that I remember it at the time when we first had lockdown. It sort of mirrored in many ways to me how my addiction affected me at its height, and I think when we see people that have previously come to groups that suddenly are not there, they suddenly go missing for a while, and you can see a lapse coming on. Which is why we encourage people when they do come to groups to stay connected. It's not a sort of you go to a meeting, you tick a box, and that's it. You've done your job. It is a lifestyle change. It's something you need to adapt to.
That's one of the ironies of connection, isn't it? Because actually, often when you are struggling with something, that's the time you most need to connect, and it's the time when you're most likely to disconnect. It
is, yeah, and that's what we always say that in groups as well. When you're feeling, I don't know if I'll be bothered to go today, I really don't feel it. That's exactly the time you've got to come along, because it's at those points that a lapse is most likely to occur.
Yeah,
and again, you look back, I think that in the throes of addiction, you're isolating because you want to hide your actions from your loved ones. And which I know I did, and relationships are just completely torn apart by the impact of addiction. For those people you're leaving behind, but for yourself as well, you feel terribly lonely. Your only friend at that point is your drugs and alcohol. So
when you consider that connection is only possible through vulnerability, so you have to open yourself up in order to connect. Otherwise, people can't reach you. It then stands to reason that if you're in active addiction, you're going in exactly the opposite direction from the one that you need to go in. Because when you're shutting people out and you're not telling people the truth and you're not seeing them, you're drinking in order to find some way of getting rid of the uncomfortable feelings, aren't you? To feel less unhappy. Yes. But actually all you're doing is making yourself more unhappy and preventing yourself from connecting, which is the only way of really feeling sustainable happiness.
You're right, and I think the irony also is that you need that connection when you're going into recovery, but you feel like you really don't want to. It really is counterintuitive. To making those bonds can be really difficult at first, especially after an extended period. You can be years of being on your own in isolation, and at that point, I think, before you get to total isolation with your addiction, you're often spending time with people. You're surrounded by those that support your addiction. Going back to that,
and you're not really connecting with them, are you?
No, you're not. No, the only thing you have in common is drinking or the drugs you're taking. That definitely goes back to the birds of a feather quote that we used earlier on from my mum. And
it's also an example of a kind of superficial, shallow connection.
It is. Yes.
You're connecting around one thing, which is destructive to all of you.
Yeah.
What's it like then when you first go into rehab? How does that change? Is it easy to connect with people in rehab? I know obviously you've all got something in common, and I imagine you're all feeling some level of trepidation. But what is that? Because people who are in active addiction and then sort of thinking, I want to go into recovery, I want to do rehab, or even if they're kind of waiting to go into rehab, there must be some kind of trepidation about what that is going to be like.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's terrifying. There's a lot of fear surrounding that. It's a bit like waiting for an operation, if you like.
Right.
You're terrified. You've got to do it. Really, it's going to be the right way forward.
Yeah.
but you're very nervous, very anxious about it, especially if you've got to move into some of the rehabs can be geographically quite some distance away, and it's a total change, really outside of your comfort zone. So there's a lot of fear and anxiety around that.
Did you find you were able to connect with people in rehab, or was it afterwards that the connection kind of started for you?
No, I mean, the people I met, I went to a detox unit initially, and that was the connections I had with the people there were very valuable, and have maintained to this day.
Right.
And I think that people do find a lot of people, if they're in a community detox where people are going into the center of your day and connecting with each other, you've formed some very strong bonds with those people. You're going through exactly the same thing at exactly the same time, and it's natural. You're going to sort of lean on each other. The only downside of that is if there's a group of you and then one person lapses, it can have a bit of a domino effect unless your own recovery is particularly strong. So again, the connection with outside groups and support, the support network you have, needs to be leaned on quite heavily at that point. But it is, the connection is all about connecting with the right people. It's no good having connection with people that aren't going to be of value to you. It's really vital at that part of your recovery that you're surrounded by people that are doing it or have done it, and have got a sustained recovery period behind them so you can show or you can see that it's available.
Yeah, I mean, that's the quality of connection, isn't it? Because a valuable connection to you is a connection where you and the other person are both vulnerable enough to let one another see each other.
Yeah, which again is really difficult to come to terms with, and you've spent many years not doing that. But I think mixing with those, that it's an inspiration as well. You can mix with people that are doing it and are cracking on with it. I found it really inspiring when I first went into groups. And there's the old adage of, you're not going to be able to do this on your own is really strong here. And I think this is why AA started up really, and why the fellowship started up. Indeed, the whole ethos behind the Aspire to Be charity that we set up was about connection.
So part of the reason that people don't connect and don't want to be vulnerable in front of other people is because they fear judgment. So I'm imagining that when you go into a peer support group like yours or like AA, to some extent that fear of judgment is quelled because you know that everybody else is kind of in the same boat. I'm not suggesting you won't have any fear of judgment, but it would probably be less than it would if you were talking to someone who'd never had any substance abuse difficulty.
You're absolutely right. But again, the irony there is you don't know that until you go in and try it.
Yeah.
We laugh at each other's habits or previous habits. We make a joke of it, and it's quite light-hearted. But there's certainly never any judgment. I've never encountered judgment at any meetings, because it would be really difficult to judge someone else's behaviour when your own has been so appalling. So it wouldn't be good. But another thing that often comes up, another little quote is, "An addict on their own is in very bad company." Which is nice, because it is at that point where the demons speak loudest, and always very negatively. It goes back to our last episode on Shit FM. At that point, when you're on your own, when you're disconnected, that's when all the demons the little devil on your shoulder would tell you that picking up a drink at this point or taking drugs is a good idea.
Oh, I think it's one of the areas of connection that we don't think enough about, the connection with ourselves.
I wanted to come on to that, but you're absolutely right. It is a point that you're not only connecting with other people, but it is the disconnect you have with yourself that I found recovery was able to sort out, to rectify to a large extent.
Well, I think that's right, because if you've had any sort of difficulty emotionally, so if you're coming out of a history of addiction, or I don't know, you've been depressed for a long period of time, or you struggle with really low self-esteem, then quite often you need connection with other people to learn how to connect with yourself.
Yes.
That's the way that it tends to work. You're almost developing your understanding of yourself as a good and reasonable person through your connection with other people, rather than just having to do it on your own, which is, why that saying about an addict on their own is in poor company is probably right, because until you get into recovery, you probably don't see yourself more positively.
You don't. And I remember in the early days when my key worker was talking to me exactly about that sort of thing, about connecting with yourself. And I didn't know what the hell she meant. What's it connecting with what does that mean? That doesn't even, I've never come across that before. Mm-hmm. And she was explaining to me, really, it's not just about, largely it is in recovery about finding out what your desires and your passions are and your needs are, but also what causes you pain. It enables you to identify the things that are not good in your life and how to combat them. So it is, everything has been clouded by drink and drugs in the past, all these emotions. They're suddenly going to become clear. I remember her saying to me, they're suddenly become clear, and you're going to have to deal with these things. So there's goods and there's bads, but you will connect with yourself. Mm-hmm. So after she's explained, I thought, yeah, that sort of makes sense. And it worked. It did happen. It gradually became clearer in the first few weeks of sobriety that was exactly right. I was starting to connect with myself.
Yeah, you can't really connect with other people unless you can connect with yourself, because you don't know enough about yourself to be able to, it's like you've got to know what type of flamingo you are in order to look for the flamingos you want to hang around with, haven't you?
Do you think that connection with yourself is also about, I know we've talked about it, it's something a phrase I've never really liked, but promoting self-love. They always had horrible connotations when people ever used that phrase. Are you all right with it?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. And it, I'm not surprised to hear you say that you feel it has negative connotation, because I think people who historically have come from a kind of negative feeling about themselves tend to see self-love as a kind of arrogance.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a kind of contrast to self-abandonment.
Okay.
When you're in addiction, you've abandoned yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, totally.
There's no love for yourself in addiction, and so wherever your addictions come from, it's a kind of, I suppose it's a bit like being depressed, or a bit like having very low self-esteem. You don't really care enough about yourself, and certainly in therapy, when we talk about self-love, we're talking about the ability to be able to treat yourself the way that you would like other people to treat you. If you can't love yourself, how can you possibly expect someone else to love you?
Exactly that, but we can't really mix that up with selfishness either, can we?
No, because I think self-love is not selfishness.
I know, yeah, but I always see it as a mixture of arrogance and selfishness. That's what I always thought self-love was. I think perhaps it's a phrase that gets bandied around wrongly, certainly in the media, when people say it's a game with arrogant people.
Well, there's a difference between self-love and he loves himself.
Ah, yes, that's not the
same.
No, it's not.
Because he loves himself is a pejorative. It is an indication that, this person it's like another way of saying he's arrogant, he's narcissistic. But I think of self-love like this. If you think of a spectrum, and at one end of the spectrum is self-abandonment and shame, and at the other end of that is narcissism and grandiosity.
Okay.
Neither of those are healthy. One of them is complete lack of care about oneself, and the other one is far too much focus on oneself. But if you think about what sits in the middle of that spectrum, that's self-love to me, because it's an ability to know when you need to come first, and to be able to differentiate that from times when it's right to put somebody else first.
That makes sense. So when you get to that sweet spot in the middle of the spectrum,
that's self-love. If you think about what it is to love someone else, if you really feel love for somebody else, you will support them when you think it's right to support them, but you'll tell them when you think they're going wrong.
Okay.
Won't you? I mean, we've talked about this before. We all need people around us who will tell us the truth. That's love.
Yeah.
And so self-love is holding yourself to account, but also supporting yourself.
Yes, yes, exactly right. Exactly. No, I understand that, and that's explained it, perhaps clarified it a little bit, because I still have had problems with that phrase. But yeah, that makes. No, I like the spectrum. I like that. I like spectrums. I think they're ideal. So, do you think if you do hit that sweet spot, that's when your self-esteem will start to rise as well? You feel more comfortable with yourself.
Exactly, because on that spectrum is you're moving from a position of low self-esteem to a position of healthy self-esteem.
Right. Okay. And we touched on all the different types of self-esteem, or the 3 different types, I think, last week or the week before. But do you think? I mean, also when I was looking at connection, when I was researching this, they're talking about how it's a great way of helping to alleviate mental health conditions such as depression, which again is very when you are isolated, that negative self-talk comes in. Depression can follow, can't it?
Yeah. The Harvard study, I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Right. It's the longest longitudinal study of human happiness in the world. And consistently, results always show that the most effective and consistent predictor of happiness and a long life with good physical and mental health is our human relationships.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So above all else, above wealth, above professional success, everything. If you've got good people around you, if you've got good connections, if you invest in your relationships and spend time with people that you care about and who care about you, that is the best you can ever do for your emotional and physical health.
Which makes sense. Again, we get people coming to groups that have been isolated, not just by their addiction, but often by their partners as well. So there's a massive social disconnect. And coming into groups is suddenly it's very cathartic for those people. There is a world out there that doesn't revolve around drink and drugs and doesn't revolve around exactly what their other half is telling them to do and the way they have to behave.
It also might be for some people who come into group, might be the first time they've actually, or first time for a long time, maybe ever, that they've actually felt that there are people who care about them.
Yeah, it is. No, I think that's right. I think that connection, it brings this feeling of belonging, doesn't it? And which leads on then to, feeling valued. So I think feeling valued is such an important part of recovery as well. It really is, because you've had no value, you've put no value upon yourself for so long.
Yeah.
And you can't expect other people to do that when you don't value yourself. So it is although I'm sort of banging on about peer support groups and how good they are, there are very few downsides.
No, I mean, certainly in terms of connection and sustaining long-term recovery, I would think they're absolutely imperative.
Yes.
For the majority of people. You could if you look at the other end of that scale, one could argue that society's ills are largely due to a lack of connection.
Yes.
To people feeling that they don't have a place, or they don't have a voice, or they're outliers, or, they're ostracized. That's why people often turn to crime or get into trouble or turn to drink or drugs, because for whatever reason they feel like I don't have a place here. I don't feel connected. So, many of the ways in which we find trouble in our society can, I think, be traced back in many respects to people not feeling connected.
You're right. And there are way too many divisions in society. There seems to be more coming on all the time that we have to fight against. We're very, very quick to put divisions up between us, when really, as you say, the way forward is a connection on a wider scale. Going back to connection per se, I was looking at how it helps, but also the research shows that it's good for physical health as well as your mental health. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that isolation can often lead to a higher blood pressure and heart disease and obesity and a whole manner of mental health issues, which isolation can bring on, which can be to some extent alleviated by reconnecting.
Perhaps that's why I was fat when I was a kid. Perhaps I didn't have good enough friends.
Is that what it was?
Your fault.
I should have stopped you getting fat, shouldn't I? You're not allowed to use that word anymore.
If I had better friends, I wouldn't have been so fat, would I?
I think I think you were happy with your own choices you were making, and we didn't want to intervene. Let you crack on with it. But remember, there's this little quote here: in the world of algorithms, hashtags, and followers, you must know the true importance of human connection. Which is, it sort of illustrates also, we talked about earlier on about the WhatsApp group running alongside everything, because it runs alongside our Zoom meetings, but it also runs alongside our face-to-face meetings. And there's a completely different vibe with the face-to-face. That connection there, the importance of human connection at that point is very easily illustrated.
I think we're lucky though, aren't we? Because we come from a generation where when we were growing up, there was no option but for face-to-face.
Exactly, yeah.
That was it. So,
yeah.
So we've been schooled in the benefit of it, whereas our children have grown up with the ability to kind of connect virtually. That's what they know, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, when we were young, some of my friends didn't even have a telephone. And so you had to
go and knock on their door.
You did, yeah. Do you want to come out and play football? You went and knocked on their door, and you'd go along the road and knock on several doors. Sometimes because they were out or they were on holiday or something.
Yeah,
you'd do it that way.
Well, that was the other thing, of course, because it's not only the ability to connect verbally, but there was less other stuff to do.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Which is something else that encourages connection. I mean, I know now that, these days kids connect through their consoles and stuff, and that's fine. But because there were so many fewer options, if you wanted to, unless you wanted to sit on your own like a Billy No Mates, you had to get off your arse and do something about it.
You did, yeah. Exactly right, which is why I used to go up and build camps up the back field and go and play football and go swimming.
Exactly. Whereas now you can sit on your phone and chat to people on Snapchat.
The other side of the world as well. So, not just the people along your street.
We're sounding old now.
We are. Right?
We are old, aren't we?
We are old, and we're drifting into nostalgia, which people won't relate to. I just want to sum up, really. There's a quote by someone called Brené Brown, and I'll come on to who she is at the moment. You may have heard of her.
Oh, I have heard of her.
You have. The quote that she comes up with here about connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from their relationship, which sums up really what we've been talking about there. Probably I could have just said that quote and left it there.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. You could have put on, she's got a really wonderful TED Talk, Brené Brown. I don't know if you've watched it.
It was mentioned when I was just doing a quick bit of research about it. It was a TEDx talk. They said it was back in 2010. I'm going to look at that.
It is worth a look. I'll put a link on. I always say that and always forget.
And never do. Yeah. But she is just a bit background that I found out about her. She's an American professor, a lecturer, author, and she's a podcast host. Do you think she's any good? She's as good as us?
She's probably got more listeners than we have.
But what particularly
she's very good at? She's really good.
I'm going to get involved in a bit of Brené. In fact, her name is Cassandra Brené Brown.
Right.
But she's known for her research on shame, vulnerability, and leadership. So I want to have a listen. Right. So that all sounds interesting.
Yeah, her TED Talk is about shame, and it's well worth a watch. It's fab.
So that rounded up my notes quite nicely. I felt that I was quite happy with that.
Lovely.
So unless there's anything else you wanted to add at this juncture, we could perhaps go on to our gratitude lists.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I think it's your go first this week.
Okay. Well, it sounds a bit, when I was first writing these out, I thought, I'm grateful for connection. Right? That was a little bit too easy, but I am great.
That's okay though. It doesn't have to be difficult, does it?
It doesn't have to be difficult. I'm very grateful for the friends I've made in recovery and continue to make. And that has certainly been a great bedrock of my own recovery, hanging around with people that are doing the work and doing the job themselves as well. It's been
I can understand you being grateful for friendships, because I think you're very lucky to have any friends. Okay, no, that's very nice. That's nice. Nice thing to be grateful for. So I'm grateful this week for clean bed sheets.
Okay. Have you not had that before?
I might have done.
No.
But then I was thinking, I've had that thought. I thought I might have had that before, but then I thought, well, you can be grateful for the same thing twice, can't you? It was on my mind because usually I change my bed sheets on a Sunday, but this week I changed them last night on Saturday, and it was fresh in my mind this morning. I thought, God, that is so nice getting into a clean bed.
Yeah.
If I could, I reckon I'd have a clean bed every night. Obviously, that wouldn't be very good for the environment.
It'd be terrible for the environment, but it does remind me. I remember a guy that I used to work with. He knew this chap who was so incredibly wealthy that he'd only wear a new pair of socks every day. He'd never wear the same pair of socks twice.
What do you mean? Brand new?
Brand new.
That's disgraceful.
It's disgraceful. But that was. He felt that a new pair of socks, you couldn't replace that feeling.
It is nice to put a new pair of socks on, but I definitely wouldn't be wearing 365 new pairs of socks every year. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. But it used to remind me, putting a new pair of football socks on used to be good.
Yeah, because it's the only time when you can get them on easily without them having to stretch them over your feet.
Yeah, especially when it's all been, everyone else in the team all gets bundled into a bag and gets washed. They all get washed and they come back. Depends whose mum has done the washing that week. They used to come back there. It didn't used to fit. It's like trying to. Yeah, it was tough. So a brand new pair. It's all soft and flexible.
Yeah, you had to get to football early to give yourself time to get your socks on.
You did, yeah, exactly. Or take your own pair. Be all selfish about it.
Yeah, very good.
Anyway, that's about it. Days of the year, just a couple of quick ones. This week is Return Borrowed Books Week.
Oh,
that rang a little bit of a bell with me because I've currently got 2 books that have been lent to me that I need to return at some point.
Are either of them mine?
No. No.
I think I've said this before, but there are a couple of books that I've lent to clients over the years that I've never got back.
Yeah.
So if any of my clients are listening, if you've got any of my books, can we have a little moratorium? You can bring them back and there'll be no questions asked. Just leave them in my clinic room.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
That's it. Yeah. Anonymity guaranteed. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think I've got any books. I don't really like borrowing books from people.
It's quite it's quite a responsibility, really, isn't it, to make sure that you don't spill coffee on them, or you don't dog ear the pages, or you treat it with respect. Yeah. Yeah,
I like that. I mean, it's kind of allied to another problem I have, which is whenever anybody recommends a book to me, or if someone says, "Oh, I'm reading this and it's really good," I almost always go and buy it.
Yes, it's probably a good idea, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, it's easier to sort of badly treat my own books than to badly treat somebody else's.
It is. In fact, one of the books that I've currently got, it's a recovery book. It's one that Aaron lent me, but it's signed by the author as well. And I said to him, "Are you sure you're happy?" Yeah, he said, "No, that's fine." But that's an added layer of responsibility, isn't it?
Well, it is an added layer of responsibility, but I think you'd be all right with a book like that. But nobody in their right mind would lend me a book like that. Because, I mean, you are someone you probably got all your books in alphabetical order.
Yeah, to a certain, well, they're sort of more genre based on that one. Yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
What, like Waterstones?
Yes, very much like Waterstones.
Are they alphabetical within genre?
They're not actually. It's been a bit lacking, really, but only because I don't. I don't read enough, really. I don't read enough. I listen to music much more, which is why they're all alphabetically and chronologically ordered so that I can find them easy. With books, I don't have that pressing issue.
Okay, well, we'll say no more about your lack of reading.
Thank you, yeah.
I mean, I'm judging you silently, but I'm not going to judge you outwardly.
I'm going to go to a peer support group for people that don't read enough. They won't judge me. There's another day of the year. Yes. Today is National Absinthe Day. The only reason I mentioned that is because I thought, who the hell would want to promote that? Now, when you look at absinthe itself, I mean, it's a sort of an aniseedy flavoured drink, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But I did a little bit of research on that, and there's some that's on sale, and the ABV on this up to 75%. So if you can imagine, like the strongest vodka we used to have was sort of 37.5. This is almost double that. I know it's linked with Van Gogh and his descent into madness. Now, whether that promoted his mental health issues or whether his mental health issues were that strong that he needed to alleviate it by getting pissed very quickly. I'm just glad I never discovered that during.
Well, I was just going to say you'd have had to take in less volume, wouldn't you? When you were drinking. I mean, you could have done half a bottle of that, and it would have been fine.
It'd have been but I suspect it was probably way too expensive. I've not researched it, but.
Well, don't go researching it too much now. That ship sailed, doesn't it?
It has sailed. But perhaps you could do a bit of research because they reckon that just a few sips and it's starting to make you feel tipsy. So it's not a good drink, mate.
I mean, if you want something aniseed, have some licorice all sorts, or a nice fennel and orange salad.
Yeah, well, I think there's some fennel in absinthe, isn't there? There's all sorts of herbs in it as well to give it that aniseedy taste. But that strength, my God. So to have a day of the year where you're celebrating, I think is scurrilous. I think it's outrageous.
Scurrilous. There it is. There's the hat trick.
We've not used that before.
I don't think so.
We're not used in the right context, but I'll take it.
3x. No, that's a perfect use of the word. That's 3 excellent new etymological introduction.
Ooh, that's one for you.
Yeah, that's 4, isn't it? Crikey, we're knocking it out of the park today.
On this day in music, just a couple of points. In 2008, Paul McCartney. He was
McCartney.
He was furious as a vegetarian. He was furious because he's a vegetarian. The Liverpool branch of McDonald's had used a picture of him to entice customers in.
Oh no!
Although I'm not sure a picture of Macca would entice me in, but
do you mean Big Macca?
Big Macca, hey! Perhaps that's what it was. There must have been a phrase like that with it, mustn't there?
Well, I'm surprised that recently a big corporate like McDonald's would use somebody's image without getting
their permission.
You'd be sued to within an inch of your life, wouldn't you?
You'd have thought so. I think that especially the Beatles are notoriously litigious, aren't they?
Are they? I didn't know that. Ah.
Yeah, I mean, never get any. There's never any Beatles songs on '60s compilation albums, for example. And it's very tough to try and find any of their films on YouTube or anything like that.
One of their films, Hard Day's Night, was on telly last week.
Yes, it's okay there because they're getting proper royalties for that, aren't they? Getting paid for it. But anyway,
I think they've probably got enough money by now, haven't they?
I think they should ease up a little bit, shouldn't they? They should relax a little bit about that. But no, apparently not.
That's Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
2003. There was a lady who was banned from playing her music and had her stereo impounded after playing Cliff Richard music too loudly.
Well, we can all applaud that, can't we?
Can applaud that. But I mean, I can imagine that would have been nauseating.
Was it your mum? I bet she liked Cliff Richard, did she?
No.
Oh.
No, my nan did. My nan loved Cliff because he was religious and everything, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah, Gang loved him. Well, he played along the church, didn't he? Along the end of the road that we lived in Stokes Road.
He did, yeah.
Come along and play that. I went along to see him then, just to see him strum a few chords in the church. Yeah.
Did he only do gospel stuff?
Yeah.
Did he? So he didn't do Carrie Doesn't Live Here Anymore.
It was before that, before he'd become too. He was still very much back in the Bachelor Boy days.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
The Shadows weren't with him then.
No, they weren't. No Hank. None of that going on. But anyway, she was fined £1,000 for that, so that sorted her out. Plus legal costs. And when the police raided her, she had 135 Cliff CDs. Now that's a lot of Cliff CDs, isn't it?
Well, imagine having to listen to Cliff at high volume and being fined £1,000. That is really, that's adding insult to injury, isn't it?
She needed to get out and get connected a little bit more, didn't she? And not to the Cliff Richard fan club. So that's me, mate.
Good. Well, that'll do then.
Well, lucky we pressed record. I wouldn't want to do all that again.
Yeah, it was a good job I remembered.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good on you. Well done, you.
All right, then. Laters. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.